And welcome back to Voices of Santa Barbara. I'm your host, Mark McIntire. And today we have a very special guest because, as you know, if you haven't been living under a rock, or even if you have been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard by now that a ballot is going to be arriving in your mailbox and you're going to be able to vote on two questions. Question number one, should we remove Governor Gavin Newsom from office? Very important. And secondly, if that is the case, if the voters decide that he should be removed, who would you like to have succeed Governor Newsom as your new governor? I suppose probably within the end of the month. And so today we are very privileged to have some of the valuable time of a very, very busy candidate, one of the four top candidates for governor, Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, and welcome to the show, Kevin. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be with you. Thank you very much for having me.
I can see that you've been really, really very busy. You have a great media team. Almost every day we look at posts and videos, updates, and other interviews from other sources. So I congratulate you on keeping up a very heavy pace.
Well, thanks. We're just trying to reach as many voters as possible to make the case against Gavin Newsom and,
right.
To make the case to remove him from office and finally get California moving in the right direction.
What's the status? I've asked my Facebook fans to sort of guide the questioning here. So we're going to do 5 basic overall segments. First of all, a recall status update from you. Secondly, the top 3 issues that you think are driving the recall. Thirdly, your legislative history crusade to save California. And who do you think won the debate between the 4 of you that was held the other day? And lastly, how will your administration as governor be different and better than the only other post-recall governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger? So these are questions that have come really from people who have been following all this. So let's start with, what's the status of the recall?
Well, the status of the recall is that it has a lot of momentum. I mean, this was, by the way, something that no one ever gave any chance. No one said we'd get it qualified. Not only did we get it qualified, it was the largest signature drive in United States history. And then no one said that the recall had any chance of passing. But the latest polls show that it is a dead heat, that the race has only continued to tighten as we've gotten closer to the vote, as more people have started tuning in. And, so I think that we have right now a golden opportunity to get this across the finish line and to actually elect a governor who will serve the people of California and will, reverse this downward spiral that we've been on for so long and that Gavin Newsom has brought to an all-time low.
Yeah, I was reading this morning a Survey USA poll, which really was sort of startling. Says that the recall numbers are 51-40. 51 in favor of recall. I haven't seen that. I know the Emerson poll came out, which is sort of a dead heat tie that you referred to. But it seems to me, and then there was another article I was reading this morning that Newsom is in trouble. He's in deep trouble with Hispanic voters.
Yeah,
that came as a surprise to me. I'd like to hear your comments on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the poll you mentioned, 51-4, that's probably not really reliable. That's not a polling firm that tended to produce reliable results in California. So I wouldn't rest on our laurels, so to speak. But the reliable polls show that it's basically a dead heat.
I agree.
So we have to fight for every single vote here to get this across the finish line. And but what you say about, for example, Latino voters is absolutely correct. That a strong majority of Latinos is in favor of the recall, and it speaks to the diversity of this movement, which is multi-partisan, that encompasses people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, who have just said enough is enough. They're taking matters into their own hand, and they want to see, they're reclaiming control of our state government, and that's why this is the greatest citizens movement in California history.
Right. Now, another question I'm getting on my Facebook fan page is give us the chronology of the voting that's about to happen. When can people reasonably expect to find a ballot in the mail? If you know.
Yeah. So most people will be getting their ballots, let's see, probably mid to late next week. The ballots go out I believe near the beginning of next week. And then, of course, you can send it in for the next month. And then the actual election day is September 14th, where you can also go and turn in your ballot that's mailed to you, or you can go and vote in person, although they have, reduced the number of in-person polling places, but you can still vote that way as well.
Right, but the number of actual in-person polling places has been drastically reduced because of the COVID restrictions and the lockdowns, right?
That's right. And you saw this last November when people would go to show up at their usual polling place, wherever it might be, the fire station, the school, the church, and it's not there. They've been voting at for years, for decades. It's not there because Gavin Newsom signed an executive order. The legislature later passed a bill that reduced those opportunities to vote in person.
Right. So a lot of people are confused about the recall in the sense that they don't really understand that the ballot is going to have two questions on it. Question number one is whether or not you want to recall Governor Newsom. And the second question is, okay, so if you want to recall, who do you think should be governor? They don't really understand that there are two parts to the question. And they certainly don't understand the number of votes that it would take for any individual candidate, such as yourself, to actually succeed. Could you sort of run through that dynamic again so that people can understand it a little better?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's unusual that an election is set up this way. It's really unique to the circumstances of a recall. So there's two questions on the ballot. And the first question, and unlike any other election where you have a million different offices you're voting for and initiatives and so on and so forth, the only thing you're voting on this ballot is the recall, which is divided into two questions. The first is, do you want to remove Gavin Newsom from office? That's the easy one. Yes or no question. And it takes over 50% of the people who actually vote in order for him to be removed. The second, and 50% plus one. So it's just a matter of, if 10 million people vote, you need 5 million votes plus one, and he is removed as governor. So if then that happens, if we get over that 50% threshold, then the results of the second question will determine who the governor is. Right. And that's just going to be a list of names. It happens to be 46 people whose names will be on the ballot. Whoever gets the most votes, that person would then become the new governor.
Right. And I'd just like to update the viewers and the listeners here that on the ballot, as Assemblyman Kiley just indicated, there's a total of 46 names that are going to be on the ballot for question number two. Now, just to break it down, there are 9 Democratic candidates. None of the names I've ever seen or recognized, so maybe it's a resume thing. But the Green Party has 2 candidates, and these are activists concerned with conservation matters. We understand that. The Libertarian Party has 1 candidate, and then there are 10 listed with no party preference. As folks have become aware, certainly you have been aware of the fact that the NPPs, or no party preference voting bloc, is the swing voting bloc on many issues. Then, of course, there are 24 Republican candidates, and you are in a tier of what I call the top 4. These are serious people, serious candidates. You happen to be the only elected official among those 4 people, right? You're the only office holder, current office holder, among the Larry Elder, John Cox, and Kevin Falconer. They have not held office.
That's right. Kevin was mayor of San Diego, but is not anymore. But I am, the only person who I guess is currently holding office among that group, and I'm the only candidate in the race who's served at the state level. I've been a member of the legislature for 5 years.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that you represent the 6th Assembly District, which sort of surrounds Sacramento. So now you're ready to lay siege to it. So you've been laying.
Yeah, so I've been representing that district for 5 years and have been fighting back against the corruption and the dysfunction at our capital for 5 years.
Assemblyman Kiley has a Harvard baccalaureate, and then he also has a Yale law degree. By the way, what was your baccalaureate in at Harvard? What did you study at Harvard?
I studied the social sciences.
Really? Yeah. I was hoping you'd say philosophy, because that's what I teach. But anyway, social science is good. Anyway, so I think we're clear now about the status of the recall. and the voting process, because I still get questions on the street, in the supermarket, on social media. They don't understand. What is your bellwether of whether or not people are paying attention to this, or is this going to be so? For instance, a lot of people don't know that they're going to have a month to return their mail-in ballot, even though the election day is on September 14th. Correct? Is that right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that. Slowly they will know it, because it will just be flooding the entire news. So is there anything else on the recall status are there any new developments on the recall status? That's to say, are there any new groups that have declared themselves, unions, for instance? You have been very much at the forefront of leading the charge for things like Proposition 22. I don't think it would have succeeded on a bipartisan basis, on a libertarian basis, as it did without you taking the lead. That's just my own personal view. But have you picked up any new groups of people? I know that talking to Ann Dunsmore on my show, she was indicating that they're targeting groups. Are you aware of any groups that are coming to the forefront? Labor unions or civic organizations or city councils or sheriffs or anybody?
Well, I mean, there's certainly a broad range of people who are supporting the recall at all levels, elected officials, people in the business community, religious leaders. People are coming from all sectors of society and all walks of life, because by and large, Gavin Newsom's corrupt management of our state has inflicted pain everywhere, with a handful of exceptions, those who are the most powerful special interests that run our capital and that certainly control him, like the major teachers unions who have, at whose behest he's kept our schools shut down. But ultimately, this is a grassroots movement, and the recall started with people in their communities, individual parents, just citizens saying enough is enough. We're going to go out and so it didn't have, a superstructure or anything like that that originally brought it into existence. It was just a totally organic grassroots movement, and I think that's where its power really comes from.
Yeah. Here on the central coast of California, in Santa Barbara County and San Luis Obispo County and Ventura County, there has been a growing pushback against these school boards. You and I are both educators, teachers, past teachers, and what we have seen locally here in Santa Barbara is a massive pushback against the Board of Trustees at Santa Barbara City College, the Santa Barbara Unified School District, Ventura School District, San Luis Obispo District. So because of that, the recall has spread. And people realize this is a serious business. I'll tell you what, we're going to take our break, because our very next topic is exactly what you've just introduced, Assemblyman. We're going to take our break early here, and we're going to come back after our commercial break, and we're going to discuss what Assemblyman Kiley believes are the three top issues for the recall, driving need, because there are so many. I mean, we could be here for hours talking about the reasons, but I'd like him to focus that. So please stay with us right here on AM 1290 KZSB, Voices of Santa Barbara. We'll be right back.